In the late Western Jin period, Tuoba Ilu, the chieftain of the Tuoba tribe, was granted the title of Duke of Dai by the Western Jin dynasty for his contributions in assisting the imperial court to resist the Xiongnu. In 315 CE, Tuoba Ilu was further conferred the title of King of Dai by the last emperor of the Western Jin, Emperor Min of Jin, Sima Yi, 300, February 7, 318, laying the foundation for the state of Dai. However, at that time, the state of Dai, located on the northern frontier of the Central Plains, was essentially a primitive and underdeveloped slave-based tribal alliance, far less advanced than the Murong and Yuan branches of the Xianbei. Later, the ancestor who led the state of Dai through reforms, established various officials, formulated laws, and promoted the transformation of the slave-based tribal alliance into a feudal state was Tuoba Shiyijian, in October 338, the then king of Dai. Tuoba Ihuai fell gravely ill. On his deathbed, he instructed the chieftains of various tribes to ensure that Tuoba Shiyijian would succeed him, as only then could the state achieve stability. As early as 329, when Tuoba Shiyijian's elder brother, Tuoba Ihuai, ascended the throne, the state of Dai was weak, and the royal authority was unstable. Tuoba Ihuai sent Tuoba Shiyijian as a hostage to later Zhao to seek peace. Over 5,000 households accompanied Tuoba Shiyijian to later Zhao, where he stayed for 10 years. At this time, the Central Plains region was ruled by later Zhao, 319 to 351, a regime established by Shi Lu, a leader of the Jia people. Later Zhao had split from the former Zhao, also known as Han Zhao, 304 to 329, a separatist regime. Han Zhao was the first regime in the Central Plains established by the Xiongnu nobility, founded by Lu Yuan. It set a precedent for steppe nomadic peoples taking control of the Central Plains and integrating into the Huaxia civilization. These nomadic peoples who had entered the Central Plains earlier had undergone significant Sinicization, with more progressive social customs. The agricultural lifestyle of the settled civilizations deeply fascinated Tuoba Shiyijian, who came from the grasslands. In 335, internal strife broke out in the state of Dai, forcing Tuoba Ihuai to flee to later Zhao, where Emperor Shi who received him warmly. During his brief stay in later Zhao, Tuoba Ihuai was awestruck by the region's abundant resources, massive and prosperous cities, bustling streets filled with carriages, and the magnificent, resplendent palaces. He was dazzled by the splendor, marveling that such a wonderful place could exist in the world. Meanwhile, his younger brother, Tuoba Shiyijian, whom he had not seen for many years, had grown into a tall and sturdy young man, standing 8 feet tall, with a resolute character and lofty ambitions. These developments filled Tuoba Ihuai with excitement and renewed confidence in the future revival of the state of Dai. In 337, Emperor Shi of later Zhao dispatched General Limu to escort Tuoba Ihuai back to the state of Dai. Tuoba Ihuai's former subordinates quickly returned to his side, while opposing factions fled to former Yan, restoring stability to the political situation in Dai. In 338, Tuoba Ihuai passed away, leaving a final instruction for Tuoba Shiyijian to succeed him. However, the old nobility of Dai feared that Tuoba Ihuai's return would bring about social reforms, alter the traditional customs of the Tuoba tribe, and threaten their status and interests. In response, they orchestrated another coup, uniting to execute Tuoba Ihuai's obstinate younger brother, Tuoba Chu. Subsequently, they collectively nominated and supported the gentle and conciliatory fourth brother, Tuoba Gu, as leader. Tuoba Gu was talented, ambitious, and highly strategic. He said, "My elder brother is older and naturally should inherit the position. How can I surpass him and take on this great responsibility?" With this, he personally went to later Zhao to bring back Tuoba Shiyijian and offered to remain there as a hostage. Even Emperor Shi of later Zhao, known for his cruel and ruthless nature, was moved by Tuoba Gu's sense of loyalty and agreed to his request. Shi dispatched later Zhao soldiers to escort the two brothers back to the state of Dai. In November, Tuoba Shiyijian ascended the throne and generously divided half of the kingdom's territory with Tuoba Gu. After returning to the state of Dai from later Zhao, Tuoba Shiyijian was determined to reform the political system of Dai by adopting the governance principles of the later Zhao dynasty. He convened the chieftains of all the tribes in the alliance and began appointing officials to oversee various responsibilities. The title of King of Dai had been conferred by the emperor of the Western Jin dynasty, and the Han Chinese dynasties of the Central Plains were regarded by both the peoples of the Central Plains and neighboring regions as the legitimate inheritors of Huaxia civilization. Thus, Tuoba Shiyijian's authority symbolized orthodoxy. Moreover, he had the powerful later Zhao dynasty supporting him. This legitimacy, combined with the backing of later Zhao, allowed him to assert his authority as the rightful king of Dai. When assigning positions to the chieftains of the allied tribes, all of them willingly submitted to his rule. Tuoba Shiyijian unified the loosely organized tribal alliance into a true state, consolidating a government and military under his direct control. In an era when knowledge and information were scarce, like other minority regimes that had successfully established themselves in the Central Plains, Tuoba Shiyijian particularly relied on the assistance of learned Han Chinese advisors to guide his reforms and governance. Yan Feng, 428, a man of great learning and talent, had long been renowned. Tuoba Shiyijian, having heard of his reputation, sent envoys to invite him with the utmost respect. However, Yan Feng refused the offer. In response, Tuoba Shiyijian staged an elaborate display, surrounding Dai commandery with his troops and dramatically declaring to its residents, "If Yan Feng continues to refuse, I will raze the city." Terrified, the people of Dai commandery sent Yan Feng to his camp. Tuoba Shiyijian treated Yan Feng with the highest honors, engaging him in delightful and profound conversations. Recognizing his value, he appointed Yan Feng as the chief minister responsible for state affairs, entrusting him with major decisions. Yan Feng also became the tutor of the crown prince, Tuoba Shi, teaching him the Confucian classics. When Tuoba Shiyijian was a child, he had been held as a hostage in later Zhao, living in Xianghua and Yecheng, where he received Confucian cultural education and was deeply influenced by Central Plains culture. After returning to his homeland, whenever he recalled the happy times spent in Xianghua and Yecheng during his childhood, images of the towering city walls and magnificent palaces would come to his mind, symbols of the prosperity of the Central Plains. Tuoba Shiyijian discussed with his ministers the idea of establishing a capital and building a city, including constructing palaces. However, when his mother, Empress Dowager Pingguan, heard of this plan, she expressed concern. She reminded him that since their ancestors, the state of Dai had relied on nomadic migration. In the face of the current difficulties the state was facing, if they were to build walls and settle, there would be no refuge in the event of an enemy invasion. Tuoba Shiyijian took his mother's advice to heart and abandoned the original plan. Tuoba Shiyijian's mother was a remarkable woman. When Tuoba Shiyijian was just born, a rebellion broke out within the Tuoba tribe, and his father, along with the other men of the family, was killed. Amid the chaos, his mother hid the infant in her pant leg, saving Tuoba Shiyijian from death. Tuoba Shiyijian was particularly obedient to his mother. With the assistance of Han Chinese ministers, Tuoba Shiyijian established a legal system, ensuring the people could live in peace and prosperity. After several years of reform, the state gradually grew stronger. Various nomadic tribes around the region began to submit, increasing the population and expanding the influence of the state. At the same time, Tuoba Shiyijian maintained friendly relations with large, early Sinicized states such as later Zhao and former Yan, using marriage alliances as a means to strengthen ties. The Dingling people were a nomadic group originally living in the harsh, cold northern regions near Lake Baikal in Siberia. Due to their distance from Chinese civilization, they maintained a primitive and underdeveloped way of life. The Dingling had once been conquered by the Xiongnu, but after the Xiongnu split and their power weakened, the Dingling became a target for Tuoba Shiyijian's raids, engaging in constant warfare against them. Some of the Dingling people were assimilated into the Xianbei culture, while others migrated westward to areas such as the Altai Mountains and Tashkent. A people without a wise leader, organized in a loose fashion, would always be subject to oppression by external enemies in the real world.